welcome to another Heart for PCOS interview. We have a very special couple here today. Many of you know our next guest, who have become quite a sensation in the PCOS community. Well, not only in the PCOS community, but also as chef and hostess to hundreds of college students who come to their home every week for a home-cooked meal. They now have a new book that's coming out in March, and we're going to talk a little bit about the backstory that led to the creation of this book as part of the Heart for PCOS Valentine special. Welcome, Tom and Rachel. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I've been following you guys for quite a while, and your story is nothing short of amazing. I would love the two of you to share how this all began and how PCOS played a role in this.
Well,
He started it.
I think before being diagnosed, Rachel always had like inkling something was going on.
Yeah.
And then as we got engaged and getting close to marriage, some of these side effects and some of the things that people with PCOS deal with, like debilitating periods and missing your periods and infertility and having days where she can't get out of bed. It's like, now we're conquering it together a little bit. And it's like, okay, so every time you're stuck in bed for 3 days or you don't have your period for 3 months, we have to go about it together.
I had actually been misdiagnosed quite a few times. I got the answer of, oh, you're working out too much and that's why you haven't gotten your period for 3 months.
My favorite was like, you're just a woman and this is part of how it goes. And I'm like, nobody deserves to like, just life can be tough, right? Like deal with it.
So when I was losing my job with the pandemic, which means I was insurance, went to the doctor, had the inkling it was PCOS, so kind of knew some of the tests that they were going to run and brought that information and said, this is kind of what I suspect. If you could do these different tests for me, that way we can come to a conclusion.
And to Rachel's like credit, I feel like she'd done enough research and she was kind of sick of being dismissed a lot, where she was very much like, I want these things tested. And if you don't want to, I want you to make note of that. Like, I want these things looked at and shared with me.
And then it came back that I did have PCOS. And like I right away, like I know a lot of people, like it's really sad and disheartening to hear at first, but it like right away it came with like almost like this relief that there is something we can conquer, like tackle and go after. And it wasn't just like, I don't know why these things are happening to me. And I think that's like when Tom's kind of page came into play. He had been cooking for me for a while at this point, to try to balance my hormones through food instead of having to go on birth control because we were trying to.
And I feel like we had done different diets and very noticeably they affected some of her PCOS symptoms.
Yeah.
So we knew that there was a connection with food. I feel like we knew that this would have to become a lifestyle, and a lot of people go right into medical intervention, which is needed in a lot of ways. But from the pregnancy side, sometimes it can be very aggressive, and a lot of that will cover up your symptoms, but not actually fix them. So we knew we wanted to go. We weren't in a rush to start a family.
Yeah.
We'd been trying, but not trying for a couple of years. So we said, like, before you guys start giving us all of this, we're going to take a step back and see what we can do. And that's when we really turned to food and looking at what we're going into our body and learning about the 4 phases of a woman goes through. Like, it's mind blowing to me that her body's different every single day, where mine's like just stagnant water that I have to like filter. But it's really cool because your body is changing. And that was kind of the start of the food journey.
Right, which has been incredible because you kept a little secret for a while there, Tom, didn't you, on social media?
Well, I've always been passionate about cooking, and that's like my de-stressor, but I had recipes like everywhere. And if we were going to really go after this, and this is no longer just like my thing to do on the side, like I need to know what's going into these and track them. And if this does work, we want to look back and be like, okay, these are what we were eating during
these recipes. That's
those recipes. And Pinterest is too complicated and too bloggy for me. I wasn't going to make my own website. In my notes app, I couldn't include like pictures and everything. And Instagram just seemed like the easiest place for me to like type, snap, put the picture. And I kept it away from Rachel because I was like, she's going to like want to make it pretty. Nice.
Which I did when I found out about
Which
it.
she did.
So Tom, when you began creating recipes and meals, how did you figure out what foods to incorporate and what would help Rachel balance her hormones?
Yeah, I feel like we started with just let's eliminate kind of the chemicals and processed foods and get back to just real ingredients, know what we're putting in our body, be able to pronounce it. And then we learned quickly, like gluten can have some inflammatory effects, and inflammation is obviously big in the PCOS world, and same with the dairy. So we cut those, and then learning what to eat and when. I feel like that's where our book really comes in, because there's sources everywhere and nothing's really combined. I feel like when people ask us that, we're like, man, we're grabbing stuff. It's very much like my Instagram. Like I was grabbing stuff from all over the place and I needed it to be in one spot. And I feel like also social media, just a lot of people started reaching out and they're like, hey, like I studied this, and we'd have Zooms. And it's one of the nice things of social media, like doctors reaching out, groups like yours reaching out and like giving us some avenues. So that's a long answer to being like, it was everywhere.
Loved it though, loved it. So
But she is the
Rachel,
case study, which is
yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. So Rachel, you've had a very busy life style with being a flight attendant, and a lot of people with PCOS are learning that food prep can go a long way in creating a sustainable plan. How important was it to you to have a food prep plan to help you meet your goals?
That was like when I was flying, if I didn't meal prep, that could have been like my make or break situations, especially being on an airplane where I don't have access to food. And the only food that is there if I'm hungry is pretzels or cookies. Those just like weren't options for me. So we took a lot of time and effort into preparing meals up to 3 days that I would have. And they didn't have to be overly complicated too. It could be something as simple as chicken and broccoli. But
And I'd probably add some pesto to that.
yeah, Tom would always make it bougie. Let me like be clear, but I'm saying you don't have to go to that level. It can be something simple, but it was nice just to always have options on hand. And also knowing the different places where I could eat, like at airports and on the road. I feel like always looking up Whole30 compliant places on Google. If you look
We
that
do
up.
that because Whole30 is just so widespread that, but you can Google and even labels have Whole30 and it's clean eating. So that's just an easy one.
It was a lot of clean eating.
Unfortunately,
so,
we
yeah.
can't type in PCOS friendly yet, but we'll get there.
But that was just an easy way to like, Chipotle was always an option that like on the road, or like Five Guys, places you wouldn't think of that had cleaner options. But meal prep was huge.
I always liked the meal prep too, because I felt like it was good for our relationship. She could be gone for 3 days and we'd lay out those 3 days and she'd be like, okay, I need a breakfast here. I got lunch covered. Dinner, I'll be in early enough to get something, but I'll need breakfast and lunch the next day. And it'd be like, our conversations would be like, oh, so I know you had this food. It's just, I felt like it brought us together while she was apart.
I would be like, oh, how was dinner that I made? And
I love that. So now you have a new addition to the Sullivan family, little Sutton, and she's proves to everyone that if you keep hope alive and empower yourselves to be proactive, that anything is possible. So how have things changed with all of your food prep and family meals and everything since Sutton has come along?
Well, first off, obviously, right after you have the baby, you don't get your cycle back for
Wait, I don't
months.
think that's obvious. That was like something I didn't realize.
Well,
You don't have a cycle for months. Like, that's crazy. I feel like that's one of those things that, because it's a period, people don't talk about it, but I'm like, I didn't realize
So your
that.
yeah, so your hormones are kind of everywhere, right? But there's not like a way to like magically bring it back. Like your body's doing that on its own, right? So I think the biggest thing with us during that time and having Sutton was just like focusing on getting like nutrient dense food into my diet, feeding that to her via breast milk. You know what I mean? We just wanted to make sure that her diet was also feeding off of mine. And the amount of food I ate has doubled.
Yeah.
Like since I've been feeding this kid, oh my, and like I used to be like kind of a one serving dinner type of girl. It has doubled with this one.
I learned quick, probably within a month, like the normal serving, all my food was getting eaten. Like our serving size went up. It was like feeding for 3. We've stayed on the same exact diet, or we don't like the word diet. It's just got like our lifestyle, our fridge hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The food we've been eating before is the same we ate. We're eating now. As soon as her cycle comes back, we'll start the cycle syncing up with it again. I would say the biggest thing is learning how to eat off of her schedule.
Yeah.
It's probably our biggest change.
Let's talk about pulling this all together. Let's talk a little bit about this book that's coming out. Your book, Meals She Eats, is first of its kind functional lifestyle guide for PCOS, complete with personal stories and recipes. To me, just from watching the two of you, it reminds me of a love letter to each other. It shows people the power of support and the power of nurturing yourself and the ones you love. So can you share some of your favorite experiences with putting this book together?
The book is very like us. We're not nutritionists, we're not doctors. We had doctors that did help us and review it and help us through the writing, but there's personal stories about our life, our dating. Food means more to us than just the nutrition. It's also like a story. It brings us places and we share those stories. And then it's very functional, like your question about her being a flight attendant, like a lot of just what we learned along the way. Like
we have a chapter of that.
We have
like
a whole chapter, like eating on the road, staying
like,
in a hotel, holidays, going to a friend's house, like very practical and like ways to have conversations about it. And just the things, I feel like going back, the road bumps we hit and putting ourselves back in it.
I feel like
cool.
When I was trying for like cookbooks with PCOS or like what to eat, there was cookbooks, and then there was separate books for just books on like what is PCOS, but there was never like a blend of, you know, what is PCOS and then how do we go about eating for it, and how do we go about everything else besides eating? How do we go about workout and exercise and like manage anxiety and just things that come up with PCOS. So it was kind of just taking all of our personal experience that we've done together and then made it into this beautiful lifestyle book.
I love it. So Tom, here's a question for you. For other gentlemen that are like interested in, you know, maybe helping their wives or getting involved in cooking, is it that difficult? I mean, do you guys both eat the same food, and how would you encourage like guys to get involved and, you know, support in this way?
Well, I always take pride, like even our college meals are all made like for Rachel's diet. I always take pride that like, if you came over and ate and you don't care about gluten, dairy, PCOS, or any of that, I want to make sure it's meals that like families can enjoy, that it's not that diet word where it's like, we have to go crazy out of our way to make this possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's like in the book, we do kitchen swaps. Here's how to sub this out. Here's our favorite grocery list, because we know these items are in our fridge. That means we know these meals we can always make quickly. We go through a lot of that. I feel like a lot of the meals are like guy friendly, like
yeah,
we'll
I
grill.
mean, you eat, Tom eats everything I eat, besides probably the exception of the fake cheese on pizza. He takes a step back from there.
You gotta set limits sometimes, right?
that just won't do it for him. But I mean, pretty much everything else, we eat all of the exact same things.
And I would also just encourage like the men out there, like look at it as a hobby, look at it as like a gift you're giving your wife, like do it together. It's something we do together now. When we're in the kitchen together, we're spending time, whether I'm cooking or she's She doesn't help too much.
I was like, don't be lying.
But maybe you do it together, and maybe that just becomes a part of it. I mean, if you had a different disease and you were given pills to take, and your spouse said, you know, I can't forget these, but I forget them all the time. The first thing you would do is set a reminder and help them do it. Well, this is like the medicine. This does help in so many ways. So just look at it that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Food is medicine, and nurturing the body the right way can have some amazing benefits. So, Rachel, when you started eating in a different way, how long did it take before you started noticing differences and feeling better?
I think the biggest change was obviously my cycle. It was so irregular, and it's 3 months, right? 3 months after eating this way and exercising and XYZ, my cycle was completely restored every 32 days on the dot. And that was, we had measured that for a whole year before I got pregnant with Sutton. So it wasn't just like 2 months and I got pregnant. It was a whole year of that same cycle.
Lastly, I wanted to find out from the two of you, because you've been, again, so involved in the community, and I'm forever grateful for that. Why, to the two of you, is beyond Rachel, you having PCOS, but why is PCOS awareness so important, and joining campaigns like Heart for PCOS so important to the two of you?
I would say just when we started sharing our story and the amount of messages came in, that would bring us to like smiles and then tears and everything in between. A lot of people are dealing with this in private, or don't know, or even worse, have been dismissed and told, like Rachel had, you know, we only get one chance at this and you should make it the best. And to feel that way is just so disheartening, and seeing that. So
any way that we can just like drive conversation or awareness, like,
I mean, family members with the best of intentions, where it's like, oh, we're doing this gluten-free, and they think it's like a fad thing. And it's like, no, like this is changing her life. This is why we have a baby today. Like, this isn't just some fad. I think the more discussion, the more it becomes out and open, the better it is for everyone.
I completely agree with the two of you on that. I would love if the two of you had any final words of encouragement or tips that you can give to people. And then after that, I would love the two of you to tell everyone how they can follow you, how they can get involved, and when that book is coming out, because I know I want to get my fingers on it. So.
Sometimes it's frustrating that people don't understand what you're going through, and try to meet them there and educate them if they want to be. I feel like the more people you have on your team, the better. Like now when we go to family houses and stuff, like they're texting Rachel, like, can you eat this? And it's genuine.
yeah.
So I feel like meet people where they're at is a big one. And then that same thing for yourself. If you don't know how to cook and you want to change your diet, like start simple. You don't have
Just
to go crazy.
I think just starting is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And where can people find the two of you and that book that's coming out?
Well, you can find us on Instagram at Meal She Eats and Rach Sullivan __. We're on TikTok at Rach Sullivan _ as well. And then the book can be found on
Anywhere
Amazon.
you buy books.
Yeah, anywhere you buy books.
Barnes and
Amazon,
Noble,
Target,
Walmart, all of them.
And you can actually pre-order it soon, right? Or
You
can
can
you
pre-order
pre-order it now?
Pre-orders
You
are
can pre-order
going
now, and then the book comes out March 23rd.
22nd or 23rd.
Oh God, we're so bad with dates. End of March is the important
End of
part.
March. We're hoping to get on tour, and I'm just speaking this into the world. So hopefully we get to come by and talk and meet some
awesome.
people and share some stories in person.
Yes, please, because I need a little more of the Sullivans in my life. So I would love them to come to Philadelphia. So yes, definitely put them on tour. Okay. Sullivans, I'm just enamored by you guys. Just your whole journey, your story, and the love that you have for each other is wonderful to watch. And I thank both of you from the bottom of my heart for being involved, engaging, and helping the PCOS community around the world. beautiful Sutton is, a testament to the miracles that can happen with PCOS. So thank you to both. And thank you for spending some time with me today. And I'm going to be getting that book I'm going to go pre-order it right now. So
Thank you
Thanks
for all you
having us.
do.
Yeah.
And keeping everything moving forward. You're unbelievable at that. It's truly amazing to watch. Thank you.
thank you so much.